Good morning, students. I had so many of you respond to the survey, and thank you so much for doing that. It's very helpful for me to know what it is you're struggling with, especially when we're trying to learn online. But so many of you asked about seeing an edTPA sample. And so I thought I'd take a few minutes this morning and just show you what it is that you're looking at. So here is an actual edTPA submission from a former student. What they do is that they submit, first you'll upload, to live text. There'll be an assignment, and we don't upload anything until the last minute, which will, for you guys, will be April if you're graduating in the spring. And it's just a bunch of files, right? So you've got all these files. You can see that most of them are PDFs, things that you write, and then there's 2 video clips in this particular submission. So I also thought, okay, this is what the edTPA looks like. It looks like a bunch of files. You submit those, they go to Pearson. So, submit assessment is what you'll do. It'll go to Pearson. Pearson will score it, and you'll get your scores back. So what does it look like? Okay, so I'm going to send this to you and let you look at it. But task 1, now this in particular is an elementary math sample. So this one, if you're in my fall course, you've already completed your context for learning. But it will probably change between now and when you submit in April. So here's just an example of somebody's context for learning. Okay? And then the next thing we make are lesson plans. And that's, where here it is, October. A lot of us are right now in the middle of creating this lesson plan. So all of your lesson plans are going to go into one file. And this is what we're currently working on. Now, we're mainly just working on drafts at this point because, again, you don't teach this till January or February, so it's likely to change. All right, but they're using the old template, but that's okay. Same thing. Then you're going to come up with instructional materials. And these are the instructional materials for this particular math lesson. You can see how they've taken pictures and screenshots and, explain what they're for. There's a limit on number of page. Notice you can't insert a link, and so they've done a screenshot. That's kind of cool. This is another screenshot. Here's the assessment file. Now this file is all of the assessments that you're doing in the entire learning segment. So she's explained, and then she's shown samples of the assessment. Okay. And then the planning commentary. So this is the thing you actually work on the longest. For those of you who are in elementary, this is what we'll be doing during your mid-residency course that begins here in about a week or so. And for those of you who are in secondary ed and MAT, this is what you're working on with Dr. Nivens. And again, remember, these documents are always considered to be a work in progress. We don't submit any of them. We'll look at them 1,000 times before you submit. So you're going to just pull out a blank template, which you'll have, and then you'll start writing within those brackets, just like we did in the context for learning, and you'll answer the questions. And, your answers will be, you can see here, because this person was smart and listened to Mamaw Yates tell her that the most important part of prompt 1 was letter C, so look how much they wrote. And that was why this person is used as a sample, because it's very good. This person has also used the templates and outlines I've given you. Great work here. So they can have up to 9 pages, and this person provided 9 pages, which is the smart thing to do. Because if they're going to give you the opportunity to have 9 pages of evidence to support the fact that you're ready to teach, then if I were you, I'd be giving them 9 pages, right? Okay, so let's go back here and let's look at task 2. Now, in this, I don't have anything but task 2. The only pieces of evidence that you have are your commentary and your video clips. And I didn't put video clips in here because that would be a violation to share that. So, again, this is the commentary. You can see how this person is talking about, timestamps. Got timestamps everywhere. So it's for task 2, you write up 6 pages, and you answer the questions. And for those of you in my courses, you know that we've been looking at rubrics 6, 7, 8, and 9. And the primary source of evidence actually comes from your videos, but this is what you write to tell the scorer where to look for the evidence. So we don't want the scorer to miss our evidence. So that's what you do in task 2. And then for task 3, what you're going to do is that you're going to come up with an assessment that you're going to give the whole class, not just a small group, but everybody in your class gets the assessment. And then this does, it's not necessarily related to the assessment file that you created in task 1. Because the scores they actually can't go back and look. It's not really possible. But it should be on the same learning segment. So if you've created a different assessment than what you got in your assessment file, then that's fine. Where you actually put that assessment that you use in task 3 is at the end of the commentary. So here's this person just wrote the description, the instructions that she gave the students, and they were on a slide. So she's just put that. That's where you put your assessment for task 3. We'll come back to this document in a minute. And then what you do is you give the assessment, and then you go through and you analyze, and you think about, okay, this is what I'm seeing. These are the learning patterns. And then you find the focus students based on the learning patterns. So here are work samples. So you're going to have work samples from 3 students. But my suggestion to my students is always to get a copy of all of the work samples. And then that way you go through them. They don't have to be, in most of the handbooks, you choose your focus student after you've reviewed the work. And that's not the way, of course, in I think it's early childhood and PE, they would not do it that way. Also, performing arts might not do it that way, because if you're going to do a recording, then you need to know who those people are in advance. Everybody else, so work samples. Okay. Then evidence of feedback. So this part we'll go over. You're supposed to give very detailed feedback, just like this student has. Strengths and needs, strategy and for improvement. You'll give evidence for feedback for each of the focus students. So there'll be 3 feedback files, 3 work sample files. We're going to make all these bit by bit, just like we do everything bit by bit. And also, I meant to show you, you know how I showed you the assessment that she put at the end of the commentary, right? So here's the commentary. And I really don't like this. Oh, there's the assessment expectations, which really would, I'm sorry, I actually didn't show you the whole thing. So here's the assessment here at the end. This is what they're doing. And these expectations are on the slide, but basically that's really what we're calling, well, you've got to have a different file for the evaluation criteria. So everybody makes a file for the evaluation criteria. It's best to think about it in terms of objectives, not questions on the quiz, right? So you put your objectives, and then you decide if they meet expectations. This person hasn't been specific in her objective, but clearly she did a good enough job. So what she's done is that she's left that open for feedback. So I'll show you what she's done. So, yeah. Okay, and then she's written down there an explanation for that. So it's not about grades or scores or anything like that. So I hope this helps. And if you have any further questions, you know where to find me.